I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? Hope you're doing well, feeling blessed, having a good day, having a good week. This one's going to be UFC London. Rocky Leon Edwards taking on Sean Brady in the main event. And I can't wait for this main event. I can't wait for this card. Now, looking at my bets from last weekend, I had 3 bets, lost 2 of them, won 1 of them. And the bet that I won was Roman Dolidze. And I was assuming that the bet that I was going to lose would be the main event because that main event was very close. It was very tough to bet. But I did win that one. And then I lost the other 2 bets. So hopefully I can actually have a good card on this London card because there's so many fighters that I should know. There's so many fighters that I should be able to bet on. So let's see what we can do. Let's see. All right, guys, let's go. Hamzat smashed the like button though. Let's go. First matchup on the card, we've got Guram Kutateladze versus Kaue Fernandes. So what we've got here is a well-rounded Georgian against a Brazilian fighter that really likes to throw kicks. So guys, in round 1, I'm expecting Kaue Fernandes to be firing that low kick, then raising the low kick to the body and the head. I think round 1 for Kaue Fernandes, it's going to look good because if you're Guram Kutateladze, you're going to have to deal with those kicks, especially in round 1. Guram lost round 1 to Jordan Vucenic, and then he went on to win round 2 and round 3. So even if Guram loses that first 5 minutes, he can still win the fight. And I'm actually going to predict Kaue Fernandes to actually win those first 5 minutes. So I think it's going to be 1-0 to Kaue Fernandes after round 1. But then I think Guram, being so well-rounded and so experienced, I think Kaue Fernandes starts to slow down from those kicks. And that's where Guram can start to get takedowns, start to wrestle the opponent, start to find success in his own striking. And I think Guram goes on to win, round 2 and round 3. So my prediction is going to be Guram Kutateladze 29-28, losing that first round, but then winning the next 2. And we've got the odds. We've got Guram Kutateladze minus 400, minus 450, minus 460. Wow. I mean, if he loses round 1 and anyone's betting on Guram, they may think, this is a bad bet. But guys, what you've got to remember is those first 5 minutes are only the first 5 minutes. They aren't the whole fight. Guram can lose round 1, then win round 2 and win round 3. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So Guram Kutateladze 29-28, that's the pick. Next matchup on the card, we've got Caolan Loughran taking on Nathan Fletcher, and this one's going to be a rematch. They both fought as amateurs back in 2018, but the fight that happened back in 2018 is kind of irrelevant to the fight that's happening this weekend because over 7 years, they've changed so much. They've gotten so much better. But my first question will it be repeat or will it be revenge? Because Nathan Fletcher, he won the first fight as amateurs back in 2018. Now, Nathan Fletcher is primarily a grappler. He's got amazing jiu-jitsu, excellent wrestling. But I kind of think he's in trouble if the fight stays on the feet. And I'm assuming that Nathan Fletcher, he's going to strike with Caolan Loughran for a minute or 2. But then he's going to look to bring the opponent to the canvas. Then he's going to look to grapple with Caolan Loughran. Now, Caolan Loughran, he has got power in his hands, but he's not that tall. He's not that long, he's kind of small. He's kind of, what's the word to describe it? He's kind of stocky, He's got that muscle. He's got that power. He has got good takedown defense for the most part. But against Jake Hadley, looking back at his fight against Jake, you're kind of noticing that Caolan Loughran, he didn't really find his range. He couldn't really find a home for his strikes against Jake Hadley. And Jake Hadley just kind of skated on the outside. He kept Caolan Loughran from finding his range. And if you're Caolan Loughran, if you're being kept on the outside and you can't find your range, you've got to take more risk. You've got to take more, chances to get on the inside to change how the fight's going. But looking at Caolan's performance, he didn't really do enough to change how the fight was going. He was kept on the outside against Jake Hadley. And it was, it was kind of frustrating to watch. You're watching it thinking, Caolan Loughran, he's being kept on the outside. You've got to push forward. You've got to get a takedown. You've got to do something to change how the fight's going. And he just didn't. So can Nathan Fletcher actually skate on the outside and maintain his distance against Caolan Loughran? And also, can Nathan Fletcher get a takedown when Caolan Loughran starts to take more risk when Caolan Loughran starts to walk forward and try to get into the pocket. Now, initially, I was leaning towards Caolan Loughran to get the win, but the fight's in England and the fans are going to be heavily towards Nathan Fletcher. And I kind of think if the fight's close, if it's a close matchup, then the judges may go towards Nathan Fletcher, being English. So guys, I'm actually going to pick Nathan Fletcher via 29-28 or a split decision, but it's a very close fight, like very close. And the odds have Nathan Fletcher minus 118 with Caolan Loughran plus 105. So yeah, the fight is so close and the odds do indicate just that. So yeah, I'm not going to bet it personally. It's too close for me, but I'm slightly leaning towards Nathan Fletcher. But 2 days ago, I was slightly leaning towards Caolan Loughran. So it's one of those ones. Next matchup, we've got Shauna Bannon taking on TOMAR, and I don't know who wins. You've got Shauna Bannon, who's a really good kicker. I believe a Taekwondo striker. However, her boxing defense is really bad. She's a low-level fighter that's essentially learning her trade at the highest level. So there's moments where you kind of see her potential, but there's also moments where you're thinking, this fighter should not be in the UFC. They should just not be in the UFC. And that's kind of the same with her opponent, TOMAR. Now, on the flip side, TOMAR is the first Indian female fighter in the UFC, and she's the first Indian female to win in the UFC. She got a win via split decision in her last fight, and arguably, her opponent won that fight. But then again, you're looking at her opponent's performance. She didn't really do enough, so it's understandable that it went to a split. I feel like this matchup here, Shauna Bannon versus TOMAR, it's going to be kicker versus kicker. TOMAR loves to throw kicks on the back foot. In her debut, she showed that. She's skating on the outside. She's throwing kicks. Then you're looking at Shauna Bannon, who also loves to throw kicks. But I do think TOMAR, she may land heavy punches against Shauna Bannon. And at times, like I say, Shauna Bannon's defense, her boxing defense, is kind of non-existent. So I really don't know who's going to win. I haven't got a clue. But I'm going to pick Shauna Bannon, I think. And I'd say she's maybe a minus 120. And I'm interested to see the odds. You've got Shauna Bannon minus 200. Who would do it? Who would do that? Don't do that. Guys, I just listened to my breakdown on this fight and I've realised that I was calling her TOMAR. Her name is actually PUJA TOMAR. It's not Tomaj. It's TOMAR, which is kind of funny, but I'm just going to keep the breakdown. And yeah, I said her name wrong. I should put some respect on the first Indian female fighter in the UFC. Her name is PUJA TOMAR. How am I calling her TOMAR? I don't even know how I'm doing that. That's a blunder on my behalf. Sorry about that. Next matchup, we've got Andrey Pulyaev taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. And this Andrey Pulyaev dude, he looked very sharp and technical on the contender. He got lined as an underdog, but his kicks in that performance looked very sharp. He easily destroyed Liam Anderson in that fight. Now, obviously, CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, is a step up in competition from Liam Anderson, but I've just not been impressed with Christian Leroy Duncan. Don't get me wrong, his performance against Dennis Tululin and Herbert was very impressive, but overall, I feel CLD's not really living up to expectations. Now, CLD's debut against Armen Petrosian, he looked lost. He looked lost in that performance, and Armen's a technical striker, similar to Andrey Pulyaev. Now, against Gregory Rodriguez, I guess there's no shame losing to Violent Obama. There's no shame there. But the pressure, in my opinion, is all on CLD. He's the one who's experienced. He's the one who's fought in the UFC. He's the one who should be winning in England against a very unknown Russian fighter. But something tells me not to trust CLD. I'm actually going to pick the Russian to win this fight. I'm actually going to pick Andrey Pulyaev, who's unknown compared to CLD. He's not proven compared to CLD. There's less expectations. There's less pressure on the Russian fighter. And I kind of like that. Now, like I say, his Contender Series performance, it was slick. It was technical. It was a nice striking performance. And I do think there's a good chance, again, that he shows a nice technical performance. And I kind of think CLD, he's more about explosive movements. He's more about jump knees, spinning kicks. He's more dangerous with explosive movements. Whereas the Russian is more composed. He's more technical. He's more by the book, if that makes sense. So I'm actually going to pick the Russian against the Englishman, Andrey Pulyaev, to get it done. And the odds, I haven't seen the odds. We've got, oh my goodness. We've got Christian Leroy Duncan minus 650. I have no words. Christian is good. He is good, but he just looks lost at times. You know, he's more about explosive movements. Whereas this Andrey Pulyaev dude, on the contender, he looked good. He looked nice throwing the kicks. So yeah, I'm going to side with Andrey Pulyaev. Those odds, oh my God. Next matchup, we've got Marcin Tybura taking on Mick Parkin. And guys, initially I was leaning towards Mick Parkin winning this matchup, but then I realised he's undefeated. And by the way, Musasa last weekend, he was undefeated, minus 800. He lost. Nurgazai, he was undefeated, minus 400. He lost. Guys, I'm not picking no undefeated fighters unless I truly believe they've got a quality skill set. And the trend in 2025 is undefeated fighters, they get dusted. That's the trend in 2025. And Mick Parkin, he does have good boxing. He's definitely improving fight to fight. But Marcin Tybura has way more experience, like so much more experience. And I do think Marcin Tybura, he's one of these fighters that just finds a way to win. Even if he's getting pieced up on the feet, he's got so much experience that he just finds a way to win. And Mick Parkin, he's not really been in a fight yet where things aren't going his way. I also think Mick Parkin, despite improving fight to fight, despite training with Tom Aspinall, who's the best in the world, I wouldn't like to see Mick Parkin on the ground with Marcin Tybura, because Marcin Tybura has so much experience and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, an extremely experienced black belt on the mat. So avoiding the ground game would be key for Mick Parkin if he's going to stay undefeated. However, he may join the long list of undefeated fighters this year that are no longer undefeated. So I'm going to stick to the trend. I'm going to pick Marcin Tybura via submission or decision. I just think, you know, these undefeated fighters, they're losing so much. And I do think Mick Parkin's good, but I don't think his skill set is extraordinary. I don't think his skill set is unbelievable, where you're looking at his skill set thinking, wow, this guy's going to be a champion. I do think he's good, but is he good enough to avoid the trend? And there is a real trend. It's real. You know, these undefeated fighters, they're getting dusted. Every single card, they're getting dusted. So I'm going to take Marcin Tybura, sticking with the trend, and the odds have Mick Parkin minus 120, minus 115, but he's undefeated. He's undefeated, you know. A minus 800 last weekend was undefeated. Then he lost. A minus 400, a minus 500 in Nurgazai, undefeated. He lost. So many of them who have never lost are experiencing losses at an alarming rate in 2025. That's the trend, you know, and I'm sticking with it. I'm taking Marcin Tybura, where initially I was leaning towards Mick Parkin. Next matchup, we've got Lonnie Kavanagh taking on Felipe dos Santos. And I'll start by letting you guys know, Lonnie Kavanagh is undefeated. So trend bettors are already betting against him or passing on this fight. However, I do believe the skill set of Lonnie Kavanagh is very, very good. You can't deny his speed. He's extremely fast, both in footwork and in boxing. The speed of Lonnie Kavanagh is clear to see. I bet him on the Contender Series and he absolutely dusted his opponent. A beautiful KO stoppage. Then his UFC debut, that wasn't as clean as his Contender Series performance, but still good enough to get his hand raised. On the flip side, we've got Felipe dos Santos, who's very reckless, but at the same time, he's very dangerous in that recklessness. He had a really fun fight with Manel Kopp. He was finding a home for his strikes against Manel Kopp. Now, he did lose that fight. Manel Kopp was supposed to easily win that fight, but it was much closer than what it should have been. Now, obviously, Lonnie Kavanagh is a few levels below Manel Kopp at this stage, and dos Santos, he does have an opportunity to land like a flying knee. Something crazy like that. However, guys, the speed and IQ of Lonnie Kavanagh, I just think he's so much better than Felipe dos Santos. The only concern, which again is such a silly concern, the only concern is he's undefeated. And I know that's silly, right? But it's a real concern. But he's clearly better than Felipe dos Santos. He's a better boxer. He's much faster. His footwork's better. And he's more composed. He's got better fight IQ. But the concern is, all of these undefeated fighters, most of them lose. So does Lonnie Kavanagh join that list? I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. I'm going to pick the undefeated fighter just because I think his skill set is truly, truly good. Like, really good. And the odds have Lonnie Kavanagh only minus 300. Only minus 3. I mean, I'm going to pick him, but I'm not going to bet him. There's no way. If you're undefeated, we just cannot bet you. We cannot. And he is undefeated. So we'll see. Next matchup, we've got Jai Herbert taking on Chris Padilla. And this one's going to be very fun. It's going to be very entertaining. And we're going to start with Jai Herbert, who's primarily a boxer. Jai really loves to box on the back foot. He can box walking forward, but I think he's probably at his very best when he's making the opponent walk forward. You know, he's skating on the outside, popping the jab, popping the 1-2. But I will be honest, guys, I don't really trust Jai Herbert. Never forget that performance where he was 2-0 up against Ronaldo, and then he got badly dusted in that final round. He did nearly stop Ilia Topuria. He kicked Ilia Topuria in the head and was very close to winning that fight. But then Ilia Topuria, he recovers and later badly destroys Jai Herbert. A couple of those knockouts that Jai Herbert's experienced are a little bit concerning. You know, getting badly knocked out like that, it doesn't make you better. It only takes years off your life. You know what I'm saying? Now, Chris Padilla, this guy just finds a way to win. Even if his performance doesn't look that impressive, he just finds a way to win. For example, his UFC debut, he didn't look that good, but then he magically finds the back of James Yontop, instantly sinks in a rear naked choke, and he wins the fight. He was losing against Rong Zhu, but then he finds a massive elbow over the top, and he stops the fight. Chris Padilla just finds a way to win, and I trust he can do the same against Jai Herbert. Now, Jai Herbert, I don't really trust him, and I just think Chris Padilla, he's becoming a fighter that I'm trusting that he can just find a way to win. So my prediction again will be against a hometown English fighter. I'm going to pick Chris Padilla to find a way to get it done. And I'm guessing the odds should be Jai Herbert minus 130, minus 140. And I'm now looking at the odds. Jai Herbert minus 105, minus 120. Chris Padilla plus 100, but now turning minus 115. So yeah, I do think Jai Herbert should be a slight favourite, but I just don't trust him. I just don't trust him. And Chris Padilla, this guy just finds a way. He just finds a way. And that's the most important thing. Even if you're losing a fight, if you can win that same fight that you don't look good in, then that's all that matters. And I'm kind of trusting that Chris Padilla can again do that. Even if he's losing round 1, he'll find a big elbow. He'll get a takedown. He'll just destroy Jai Herbert at some point in this fight. And I kind of trust that's going to happen. So we'll see. Next matchup, we've got Nathaniel Wood taking on Morgan Charriere. And guys, this matchup here, do you ever look at a matchup and you're thinking to yourself, why does someone have to lose? You know, this matchup here, Nathaniel Wood, I'm such a fan of Nathaniel Wood. I think he's brilliant. And Morgan Charriere, this guy's also very good. So the UFC, you've put together a banger. You've put together a banger and someone has to lose, man. Someone has to lose, and I don't like that. Now, Nathaniel Wood, I think his boxing's good. I think his Muay Thai, his striking in the clinch, his ability to get Muay Thai trips in the clinch, his ability to wrestle, his ability to grapple, the ground and pound, the jiu-jitsu. I think Nathaniel Wood is extremely well-rounded. He can do it all. And when you find a fighter that can do it all, a jack of all trades, those fighters, in my opinion, they're not respected as much as what they should be. Because it's very, very difficult to be good at everything. Most fighters don't do that. Most fighters say, look, I'm going to choose boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to forget the wrestling, forget Taekwondo, forget, you know, wrestling against the fence. I do a little bit of wrestling against the fence in my gym, but they choose like 2 or 3 things and they focus on those things. Whereas Nathaniel Wood, he can literally do everything. Wrestling, grappling, Muay Thai, boxing, the wrestling against the fence. He can do it all. He's very well rounded. Now, Morgan Charriere, he's so composed. He's so calm. And he's like a sniper with his strikes. He'll find a home for his strikes. He'll never get too reckless. Whereas Nathaniel Wood, at times, he can be like a little bit too urgent to get into the fire. And at times his chin can let him down. But he's so well rounded. He can do it all. And someone has to lose. Someone has to lose this fight. And I hate that. I kind of hate that because they're both very good. And I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think Nathaniel Wood, he might start well. And then Morgan Charriere may take over. Then Nathaniel Wood has to fight back. And then Morgan Charriere has to step up his tempo. It's going to be such a close fight. And I hate that I'm making this pick. I really do. And I hope I'm wrong. In a way, I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to pick Morgan Charriere to get it done. Now, anyone that has the opinion that I've been biased towards UK fighters, English fighters, you've got to now take that opinion and throw it in the bin. Put it in the bin. Because how many English fighters do you want me to pick against? You know what I'm saying? You've got to put that opinion in the bin. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking Morgan Charriere. I think it's going to be a split. Or if it is a split, there's a chance that, you know, the fight's in England. It could go to Nathaniel Wood. But there's also a chance that even hometown fighters, they have splits go against them. Or it could be 29-28 to Morgan Charriere. I'm going to pick Morgan Charriere to get it done, but you know what? I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong because Nathaniel Wood has always been one of my favourite fighters because he's so well-rounded. I'm going to pick Morgan. And the odds have Morgan Charriere minus 160. Wow. Those odds are a little bit wide. They should tighten a bit. Those odds should tighten because Nathaniel Wood, man, he's in England. He's in London. He's from London. You know what I'm saying? Those odds, they're a little wide. Moving into the next matchup, we've got Jordan Vucenic taking on Chris Duncan. And Jordan Vucenic, I quite strongly believe that he's going to do well in this fight. In his UFC debut, things didn't go too well past round 1. He did start very well in that fight. In round 1, he drops Guram Kutateladze. He wins round 1. But then the fight becomes quite difficult. He loses round 2. He loses round 3. And Chris Duncan, he did get a nice win against Blachowicz. And mainly because Blachowicz, he made a terrible mistake. He ends up going for a takedown and Chris Duncan wraps his neck up like a blunt and he gets a submission win. But Chris Duncan, in my opinion, he's quite clumsy. He's quite reckless and he kind of makes mistakes on the feet. He does have power. He can shut off the consciousness of the opponent and he's going to look to do exactly that against Jordan. But I just think Jordan's sharper. I think he's faster, more technical, more composed on the feet. And if Jordan really shows up in this fight, like he did in his UFC debut, he did lose in his UFC debut, but he still showed up. You know, he won round 1. He looked good early in the fight. And I just think against someone who's quite clumsy, quite reckless, quite hittable is Chris Duncan. Against someone like that, I think Jordan should have a strong performance, potentially find a KO stoppage. So in my opinion, Jordan Vucenic, I think he's going to win this fight via KO TKO. And the odds have Jordan minus 400. Wow. Yeah, Jordan's going to win. Let's go. Next matchup, we've got Molly Mccann taking on Alexia Thainara. And I strongly believe that Molly Mccann should win this fight. Now, I did pick against her when she fought Bruna Brazil. Bruna Brazil was a plus 300, plus 400, and I picked Bruna Brazil to win that fight. Basically down to Bruna Brazil being a technician, whereas Molly Mccann, she's more aggressive. She's more, you know, throwing wide punches, big overhands, big hooks. She's a little bit of a pit bull, a bit of a meatball, right? And Bruna Brazil's more technical, you know, firing kicks at a distance, controlling the range, controlling the opponent. Now, I did take Alexia Thainara as an underdog on the contender, and she performed well in that fight. You could see she has power. Both of these ladies, they've got power. But I just think the experience of Molly Mccann, it should be enough in this spot. Now, Alexia Thainara, she's going to try to, have a good UFC debut. But Molly McCann's here to basically say, look, you haven't got the experience. And even if you're going to have your moments in this fight, I'm going to have more moments. And I was actually at Molly McCann's UFC debut up in Liverpool, and I bet against her when she was a favourite. I took Gillian Robertson as a nice underdog, and she choked out Molly McCann. Then I took Molly McCann. I was at her fight against Zombie Girl in London. I took Molly McCann to win that fight. A very, very close fight. But Molly McCann just about gets her hand raised. Now she's fighting another Brazilian in London. And I'd say that Alexia Thainara isn't as aggressive as Zombie Girl. And I just think Molly McCann, she should win this fight. She lost against Bruna Brazil. I did take Bruna as a massive underdog. But Bruna's levels above Alexia Thainara. Molly McCann, she should get it done. And the odds have Molly McCann plus 150, plus 160. I don't understand how. I don't understand those odds. Molly McCann plus 150, plus 160 against Alexia Thainara. I don't understand. Yeah, that's an underdog pick. That's a meatball pick. Yeah, all day. Next matchup, we've got Kevin Holland taking on Gunnar Nelson. And Kevin Holland, man, his grappling is just, it's dusty. It's non-existent. Well, actually, if you check his jiu-jitsu credentials, he does actually have good jiu-jitsu. But looking at his performances in the UFC, looking at how easily he got dusted by Reinier de Ridder, his grappling is just, it's not that good. His takedown defense, his wrestling defense, kind of non-existent. And when you get put into a fight with Gunnar Nelson, someone that has amazing jiu-jitsu, you're looking at ways for Gunnar Nelson to win this fight on the canvas. He's going to look to bring Kevin Holland to the canvas. And if he does, if Kevin Holland finds himself on the mat with Gunnar Nelson, anyone that's got a bet on Kevin Holland, you may as well rip that bet up. You may as well put that ticket in the bin, because when the fight goes to the mat, there's a massive skill difference in the grappling department. And that's kind of the way for Kevin Holland to lose this fight. But looking at the inactivity of Gunnar Nelson, he's quite old and he doesn't really fight. So guys, if the fight leaves round one, then Kevin Holland may actually have a very good chance at winning this fight. He's so much more active. We know Kevin Holland always fights. He's fighting all the time. And Gunnar Nelson doesn't really fight. So looking at the matchup in terms of activity, Kevin Holland, in my opinion, he should win. He should win this fight. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that say, look, Kevin Holland, he doesn't have wrestling defense. He's going to get taken to the mat. And once he does, Gunnar Nelson's going to win. He's going to wrap him up. He's going to find something, an armbar, a triangle, a rear naked choke. He's going to find the back of Kevin Holland and he's going to win this fight on the mat. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. But if Kevin Holland shows up and he stays nice and long, he doesn't throw kicks at Gunnar Nelson, because those kicks, you can get takedowns from those kicks. You're going to catch a kick. You're going to bring Kevin Holland to the mat from those kicks. If Kevin Holland stays nice and long, uses the 1-2, uses the jab, he fights nice and long with the boxing. Look at the way he knocked out Joaquin Buckley. Those straight punches, they're very long. And if he stays at bay, if he stays at distance and really controls the range, really stays locked in, and he should, because he's so active. He's so much more active than Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar's past his prime. He had his prime. He's past his prime. And he's not a fighter. He's a guy that's going to turn up every 2 years to showcase amazing grappling skills. But if the fight doesn't go to the mat, the homie home alone, the homie Kevin Holland, he should win this fight. And I'm going to pick him to win. I did pick him to win against Reinier de Ridder. That didn't go well. The fight hit the mat and it was, complete dustoration for RDR. Now, is the same thing going to happen? It could. It really could. I'm going to take Kevin Holland to show up in London and to put on a nice performance. I actually think he's going to drop Gunnar Nelson. And if he drops him, you can't go to the mat. You can't jump into the guard of Gunnar Nelson. And if he does, then, he kind of deserves to lose. But I just think the activity of the homie, the activity of Kevin Holland, I think he can win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight. My prediction is going to be Kevin Holland via KO TKO or to win on points. That's my pick. And the odds, looking at the odds, we've got Kevin Holland plus money, plus 100, plus 105. It's kind of risky because if Gunnar Nelson gets into the mat, it's over. It's just over, just like that. If it doesn't go to the mat, then the homie's going to win. That's my pick. Give me Kevin Holland. Moving into the co-main event, we've got Jan Blachowicz, the former champion Polish Power versus Carlos Black Jag Ulberg, who's on the rise to the title. And I kind of think Jan Blachowicz, he had his day. He had his day. He does have the power to stop Carlos Ulberg. Don't get me wrong. He can shut off the consciousness of Carlos Ulberg. But I just think Jan Blachowicz, he's getting older. He's definitely got power, but has he got the same speed? Has he got the same timing? Has he got the same hunger that he had a few years ago? Remember when Jan Blachowicz fought Dominic Reyes? That Jan Blachowicz back then was absolutely lethal. I mean lethal. Those body kicks, those calf kicks, the check hook, the Polish Power. It was just devastating. And he does still have power. We know the power is the last thing to go. But I just don't think he's got the same timing, the same accuracy, the same lethalness, if that makes sense. Whereas on the flip side, looking at Carlos Ulberg, Black Jag, this guy's on the rise. This guy lost his UFC debut to Kennedy Nzechukwu. And that rhymed. I didn't mean to do that. But he lost that UFC debut. And since then, he hasn't put a foot wrong. He hasn't put a step wrong inside the UFC octagon. He just looks better and better fight to fight. He's just lethal. He's in that mode, that beast mode that you see time and time again in fighters on the way to the title. And I see it in Carlos Ulberg. And I just think Jan Blachowicz, this is a guy from the past. The Polish Power is from the past. It does still exist, but I don't expect it to be shown in this fight. I think Carlos Ulberg, with his beautiful Muay Thai skill set, the kicking ability, the range management, fighting out CKB, Carlos Ulberg is on the rise, and I expect him to essentially dust, to essentially destroy Jan Blachowicz in the co-main event. So my prediction is going to be Carlos Ulberg. It could go the full 15 minutes. It all depends how much risk Jan Blachowicz is going to take. I'm assuming that, you know, it's his last run to the title, so he's going to take some risk. And that's why I'm siding with the KO TKO. I just think Carlos Ulberg, Black Jag from CKB, he's on the rise. He's in that mode. And I think he's going to get a KO TKO to win this fight in the co-main event. And I'm assuming that Carlos Ulberg, he's going to be a strong minus 400. Now looking at the odds. Carlos Ulberg minus 275, minus 225 on some books. Yeah, those odds are fine. And I'd actually make the point that even though Jan Blachowicz does have the power to stop Carlos Ulberg, and the bookie knows that, that's why we're not going too crazy on these odds. You can't go too crazy when there's so much power inside the octagon. But I do think the range management, the composure, and just that beast mode that Carlos Ulberg is on, I kind of like minus 250, minus 275. That's a nice parlay piece. You know, you can two-piece that. Carlos Ulberg and someone else for a nice win. Moving into the main event, we've got the former champion Rocky Leon Edwards taking on the rising prospect Sean Brady. And what I wanted to tell you guys is my main event predictions this year, they've been on the money. My bets haven't. My bets have been pretty trash, if I'm being honest. But what's not been trash is my main event, final fight of the night prediction. The only main event that I've got wrong this year was DDP against Sean Strickland. Every single underdog that's won in the main event, including last week, the week before, and the videos that I missed on my channel, the people over on Patreon, you guys know who I took with Jared Cannonier and Robocop. Jared Cannonier plus 220. I've picked every single underdog in the main event. And I kind of think, looking at this main event, I do know the odds. I have checked the odds on this one. I kind of lean towards the underdog again. But let's break down the matchup. Let's break it down. Now, Sean Brady, as we know, has amazing grappling, amazing wrestling. And looking at Leon Edwards in his last fight, he crumbled under the wrestling pressure of Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad pushed him against the fence and worked him from the fence. He got takedowns. He brought him so easily into that wrestling and grappling contest. And you kind of look at that performance and think, can Sean Brady go in there and do something similar? Well, he kind of has to. He kind of has to, unless he thinks he can stand and trade with Leon Edwards. And in my opinion, he probably can't do that. So if Leon Edwards wants to win this fight, he's got a very similar fight to what he had against Belal Muhammad. He's got to work off the fence. He has to break away from the fence. And I know a lot of people watch fights on a weekly basis and they think, you know, this stalling on the fence, this clinching against the fence, it shouldn't win rounds. It shouldn't get you the round. But it does. It does. If there's no damage in the round, if you're being controlled against the fence and you haven't caused any damage, then the round will be scored from the fence wrestling. It's part of the game. It's part of the game. And it may not be entertaining. You may not watch it and think, you know, this is good stuff. But it is part of the game. And for Sean Brady, he's going to look to push Leon Edwards against the fence. Now, it's for Leon Edwards to work off the fence. That is a key in getting your hand raised this weekend. He has to get off the fence. But also, Sean Brady isn't just going to look to stall against the fence. And that's what people call it. They say, oh, he's just stalling against the fence. He's not doing anything. He's not really stalling against the fence. There is a method in the madness to doing that. He's trying to work takedowns against the fence. So Sean Brady's looking for takedowns against the fence. If he doesn't get the takedowns, he's not going to break away. He's still going to control Leon Edwards against the fence. He's still going to make him work. And if Leon Edwards can't break away, he's going to lose those rounds against the fence. Now, also, there's concern for Leon Edwards getting tired. And that's kind of what happened against Belal Muhammad. He gets pushed against the fence. And once he breaks away from the fence, he's too tired to go to work in the kickboxing realm. So even if Leon Edwards does break away from the fence, there's still a concern that the work that Sean Brady's going to make him do against the fence, defending takedowns, defending in the clinch, and trying to break away from that position, there's still a concern that even if Leon gets away from the fence, now there's going to be concern with Leon Edwards being tired because he's having to work so much. If you're betting on Leon Edwards, you may be kind of disappointed that he's not able to work on the feet because that fatigue is setting in. He's been brought into that grappling contest where he's against the fence. He's on the mat. He's having to work off the mat. He's trying to get back to his feet. And this is very tiring. It's very tiring. And you see Leon Edwards against Belal Muhammad. He got so tired. He got so easily tired. Like 5 minutes in, he's already done. And Sean Brady knows that. Sean Brady looks at that performance and says, you know what? Belal Muhammad went and done that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to London this weekend. The fans aren't going to enjoy it, but I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to get my hand raised. And part of that is being a little bit boring at times, you know, working against the fence. The fans are booing, but if the UK crowd, the English crowd are booing, you know that Leon Edwards is not winning. But guys, in my opinion, I do think Leon Edwards is going to win this fight as an underdog, a 48-47 or even a hometown split for Leon Edwards, the former champion. He is going to have moments against the fence. He is going to have moments on the canvas being made to grapple with Sean Brady. But I do think his boxing, his left kick, his jab, his 1-2 is too much for Sean Brady on the feet. And there will be rounds spent on the feet. There will be rounds decided by the damage of Leon Edwards on the feet. It's going to be a very, very close main event. It's going to be close. But I think the underdog, Leon Edwards, that's the pick. Post in the comment section below your main event, your co-main event, your doubles, your straight bets, your money city plays. Drop it in the comment section below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Let's go. Peace.